Hey everyone, I'm NATO King. Welcome back to Folklore. It's Keats' turn to explore Hellrealm and collect a whole bunch of new folks. And actually, now that I think of it, if I'm going to be fighting folks, I should probably not be using the same collection that I used to take down Fleshroom. A couple of folks that are good for more general fighting. You know, Hinky Punk is always reliable, and I have it on good authority that Afank is going to be useful. And hey, no one to get in our way. Well, I didn't see the Invisible Man. Alright, so we've been formally introduced. Let's get to the fighting. I mean, that's probably what you're here to see. And we start off with some familiar faces. Boggarts haven't changed much from when I fought them as Ellen. They're still yet another combo attack with melee range and slightly different balance of power, reach, speed. Not gonna bother using them quite yet until I've collected at least enough Boggarts to get the full 4-hit combo. Should be easier for Keats than it was for Ellen, because Boggarts are a lot more common here. And as you can see, Afank makes pretty short work of them even when they try to dodge. You can't really dodge a giant spread like that. And also there's a karma that involves defeating a number of Boggarts with Afank. And we've already got our first picture book page. Well, page 2. Which, yet again, tells us the difference between Koblenau and Mandragora. Not that that's ever been of a whole lot of use to me. Still, let's go on ahead into that room and see whether I've learned to tell the difference by now. Alright, so looking at these, this one looks like a Koblenau. And it is. There are actually a number of interesting signs you can use to tell the difference, but I think the easiest one is that right around the stem of a Koblenau there's a little whirl effect in the ground, which isn't present for the Mandragora. But of course, Koblenau can't be a charm effect for Keats, because Keats doesn't get charm effects. It's an earth attack, and we've got enough items to build up most of its karmas right away, but finding 5 more Koblenau is going to take a long time, so let's not worry about that and just catch us a Mandragora. This one, just like it was for Ellen, is a long-range attack, but it works a little differently. Let's give these 2 new folks a look and see how they work. I think Mandragora is probably one of my favorite attacks for Keats in this chapter. He just throws them. I mean, how much more fun can you get than just hurling little plants at your enemies? And Koblenau is kind of confusing because it's got a lunge that takes a little while to get used to the range. Not gonna worry about it too much though. I've got Azrai. And Azrai's kind of annoying, so probably ought to change it out for a folk that's a little faster. Even at this point, I'm not really sure why you'd use most of the other melee folks. Berlachen covers everything you would need. And I'm getting green quartz, which is good. Although, as I think about it, Ellen needs those a lot more than Keats does, and Volcano drops them, so even if you don't want to wait until you get here to grind for them, they're not too hard to get. Not going to worry about the 5 Mandragora ids just yet. I mean, it's a fun attack, but I don't really need the full combo just yet. I think the only real problem with Mandragora is that it aims kinda like the Stormtrooper rifles in Dark Forces. I mean, you always make fun of the Stormtroopers for not being able to hit their target, and then when you finally get one of their guns, it turns out it doesn't shoot straight. It'll pretty much send its laser fire everywhere except into the thing you're aiming at. Takes a lot of getting used to. As for Mandragora, I think it's plenty useful as long as you're close enough or you're hitting something big enough. It's actually kinda rare for so many attacks to miss, I think. But it keeps you at a respectable distance from your enemy while still doing plenty of damage and having a combo attack. Not sure that it's much more effective than, say, Bullseye. But Bullseye's just shooting. Mandragora's fun. Oh, and here we've got those red-tailed birds we were told about. Well, actually, strictly, we were told about the blue-tailed birds, and I took a guess that these guys would be weak to ice, which they are. And, of course, not a whole lot stands up to Kraken. Actually, it occurs to me I didn't check Urisk's karmas before capturing one. And it turns out that I just kind of wasted a capture. Oh well, there are plenty more of them. And plenty of time to do a grinding video. And plenty of karmas I'll need to build up when the time comes. Urisk is going to be our first actual long-range fire attack. I don't think it's actually got a limit until it hits a wall. And that vertical pillar of fire is pretty handy too. Because as you can see, we've got Ulgik here, the blue-tailed bird. And when it flies up, our shots will go right under it. But if we can get it close to a wall, that pillar of fire will take it down handily, and we can finally capture one. And hooray, it's yet another ice attack. Unfortunately, not a very good one yet until we've built up some karmas. So I guess let's get right on that. With a more useful fire attack, I'm sure. Urisk has its uses. I just don't think I've hit any quite yet. I mean, it's got long range. It's got long range. And I need to capture a bunch of them to unlock the next karma. Not very many in this room each time we come through, so I'll have to make several trips. But another picture book page, at least. We're getting a bunch. And this one shows Bargus triumphing over Folklore. But we're Keats. We've got so many fun options for Destroy Element. And we got a combo attack in Gityarg. We got a long-range attack in Gargantua. And we've got Galley Beggar. Which is fun! Seriously, I kind of love slamming things with Galley Beggar. So, for more, with our slightly more varied destroy attacks than Ellen has at her disposal, shouldn't be too difficult. And of course, we've also got Transcension. Did I mention I'm wearing the alternate Transcension skin for this chapter? Of course, for the whole chapter, because you don't really see a whole lot of Transcension. And I don't know how that Ulgik managed not to hit me, but I'm grateful, because I was in the middle of a capture. Looks like they can slam into you and not actually do damage. But that was unfortunately about the best look you're going to get at Keats' alternate Transcension form. I'm guessing it's based on Masked Rider. Just kind of gives me a Masked Rider vibe, I guess. So that, I guess, is Urisk being pretty handy. But to be fair, that took almost no time at all. Sort of like Fomor wasn't even really a challenge. And I do need to absorb one more of it to make any more of its karmas available. So I guess let's just leave the room and come back in and kill another one. And here's what its attack looks like. It's also a combo attack. Frankly, I think Gajarg is better in most cases, but Fomor hits things that are way up high. And as you've seen, there are a lot of flying enemies around here. But I do think this might be an appropriate time to go catch us some more Mandragoras. And when assuming all 5 of these are Mandragoras, here's my entire quota right in this room. And indeed they are. I never really noticed that drum beat as they're burrowing through the ground there. See if I can capture 2 of them at once and save myself a cycle of waiting for them to pop back up. Of course, I discovered later that you can actually attack them while they're burrowing, and you can prevent them from going underground at all. Pretty handy. Saves you a bit of time. But it's really not all that bad. Kind of put in mind of the bongo thing from Super Mario World when you're riding Yoshi. It's like you don't really notice it until somebody points it out to you. And then you can never unhear it. So let's see what a more normal fight with Fomor looks like. You know, when I'm not blowing my entire Transcension on one folk. I think for the most part his attacks aren't that big a threat. Most of them don't have a very big range, but a couple of them have a bigger range than it appears that they would. And of course we have birds appearing every time we are near him, just like they did for Ellen. Although I think the bird folks for Keats are a heck of a lot more useful than they were for Ellen. I mean, Ulbir and Ulgter, you don't really get a whole lot of use out of either of those. Ulgic and Urisk I would actually use in certain contexts. Again, Ulgic mostly once we unlock some more karmas. As you see, ammo count increased, which means that it fires more ice chunks with each attack. I'm pretty sure that we can get up to a maximum of 5. And that's actually a really nice spread. You know, still doesn't really hold a candle to Kraken and its ability to just sweep over whatever range you want. But if you didn't catch Kraken, it's that or Auguski to cover a wide range with ice. And like every other combo attack, Fomor gets more hits as we unlock more karmas. And now we need to capture a bunch of Urisk, we need to defeat a bunch of Urisk with Ulgic. We don't need Ulgic for very much. So 3 hits from Fomor takes up half your MC meter. But it does a ton of damage over a wide area. Kinda hard to argue with the results. Of course, if I can draw the red it out of a Boggart with 2 hits from Gajarg, it does make Fomor seem a little redundant. And I should have almost enough Boggarts now. Let's go ahead and make the swap, because I don't need to capture any more of these guys. Just need to defeat 15 folks with it. Might as well get started. My real complaint with Boggart is that the second and third hits have such a short range. Especially if the first hit knocks the folk away, then they're out of range of the rest of the combo. And of course, not to forget, I need to defeat a bunch of Boggarts with Afang specifically. So I'll kill any other folks that I don't need to capture with Boggart and go for Afang for these guys. If it weren't so expensive, it'd be great. But I can only get 3 hits out of it with a full MC meter. Not that you usually need more than 3 hits. Well, that's one more room taken care of, and I think that'll put us to the midpoint. But with one more picture book page already. And this one shows us a folk we're not going to be fighting until near the end, but obviously we need to freeze whatever it is and then hit it with earth. So if I ever see a velociraptor with a sickle for a nose, I know what to do. Anyway, we'll move on past the hot spring and get on with the encounter with the fairy lord that we may remember from Ellen's side of the chapter. Oh, and of course, I won't forget to talk to this guy this time. Yeah, that's exactly what the picture book said. Yeah, just consider yourselves lucky I don't actually know the Kamen Rider theme song, or I'd be singing it. Well, we know what's ahead, Condemnation Tower and the Elevator of Doom. So we'll take care of that and the rest of the folks next time.